Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to another Morning Coffee Talks. Yesterday, man, I killed it. Had a great speech. I took home the win, and we're gonna keep stacking them, man. We're gonna keep stacking them. I definitely recorded it. Got some great feedback on some things I can do to improve. I looked at my speech. I see some things I can improve. But overall, we still did a great job, a terrific job. And that's just what it's about, man. Keep stacking them wins, keep building, keep putting in the work. And we're just going to keep it going like that. Today, I really want to talk about why men settle for submission in marriage. And I had this on my mind because I remember growing up and a few men that were close to me, like in distance of actually knowing them or even knew them, I feel like, man, they didn't really run their households like it should have been. And I say that to say because now that I'm older, I see why it's important to keep your house in order. Shout out to my uncle, man, RIP. And because if not, it just make it a tougher journey, not only for you as a husband, but also the rest of the household, because everybody's out of position, right? And it makes other people pick up other tasks, other obstacles onto the road that they're already playing. So a lot of men, I feel like, have settled into a submission role in their marriage because they've lost their way. And this might be a tough pill to swallow for a lot of men. And again, for me, for a good window of time, I felt like I kind of fell into that niche as well. And that's because of what I'm going to talk about today. This is definitely a reality that many men face. Somewhere along the line, man, we just stopped leading. And it's not because we didn't want to, but it's because either we lost our confidence and our ability to lead ourselves and others. So, and this is something that I've talked about a lot. When a man can't lead himself, right, then he naturally start looking to others to lead and to take charge. And oftentimes it could be the wife or the spouse. So I really want to break down why this happens today and how it affects the relationship. And, what's something that I did and you could do to really reclaim that role as the leader. Again, I want to highlight that again. A man who cannot lead himself cannot lead his marriage. And when you have that loss of direction, discipline, and purpose, unintentionally, you start to shift into a role of submission. And again, the person that kind of fills that gap typically is the wife. But with that, again, it creates an imbalance, it creates frustration, resentment, and a lot of times confusion in the relationship. Again, we have to remember that leadership isn't always about control, right? But it is about guiding yourself and your family with strength, clarity, and I would even say confidence. And we want to deep dive into that, right? Why do men lose their way? It's not an overnight thing. It's a gradual thing, right? Life throws challenges, things like work stress, financial pressure, even health issues. And many men don't face those challenges head on. And so what happens, they start to drift. And then they lose focus of their goals. They stop pushing themselves to grow. And all of a sudden, self-doubt starts to creep in. And over time, they start to lose themselves of their sense of purpose and identity. Man, we have to lead ourselves, man. Because if not, again, by default, just men start to follow. And that could be other men too. They follow other men. When you go into that default area, this means that you start looking for other people to lead. And that puts your wife in a situation where she starts to make decisions, start to set the tone, and starts to steer the family. And again, that's not a natural. And again, listen, women have done this for many years, especially with a man not being in the household. So it could be done, but for them, like when you really have a conversation with them and you really dive deep with them, that's not something they want to do. They really want the man to make those decisions, set the tone, and steer the family. And a lot of times women don't want to take over, but it's because someone has to lead. And a lot of times if a man won't do it, then they will. Now, one of the consequences of that is when a man settles into a submission role, the relationship dynamic starts to shift, and not even in a good way. Your wife or spouse might intentionally start to step up because she loves you and she wants the family to thrive for a little window of time. But over time, that imbalance is going to start creating tension. And she may start to feel, and this is really important, right? She may start to feel, more like a mother than a partner. And carrying that mental and emotional load while you drift further and further and further into the background. And as a man, that's going to make you start to feel disconnected, like you've lost control of your own life. And we see this in a lot of men. When they feel like they've just lost control of their life. And so you start to look at them, they don't get their haircuts anymore like that. They don't be active in the community, even doing like hobbies and things that they would typically do. They stop hanging out with friends. They start taking care of themselves, right? They just fall into the background. And when you lose that control, you might even start to feel resentful, but and not realizing that you the root of the problem, and it's within you that's the problem. And this is a cycle, man. Again, it leads to frustration on both sides, and you feel disrespected, and she feels unsupported. So when this happened, how do you start to really reclaim yourself as a leader? And how do you break the cycle? Again, it starts from taking ownership of your life. You have to stop waiting for your wife or your spouse or anybody else to guide you. Take responsibility for your decisions, your actions, and your future. You have to set clear goals, not only for yourself, but for your family. And it's an everyday process that you're working towards. Every day, man. That discipline I talk about is a freaking superpower, man. Listening is a superpower. A man who leads himself is consistent, he's focused, he's committed. And all this comes from daily habits of strengthening your mind, your body, and your spirit. And those three right there is what connects discipline. And then you naturally become the leaders of others who they respect and they follow. So if you feel like you've fallen into this background role, or submission role, even with that, you have to have an honest conversation with your wife. You got to acknowledge it and say, look, I know I've drifted. I fell by the wayside. But at that point, when you're ready to have that conversation, you got to have the commitment of stepping up, though. And it's going to take time to build that back, but it's not impossible. And again, it shows her, it takes action, though. You can't just be talking words. It shows her action that you're ready to lead again. And then slowly but surely, she'll fall back in her role as far as being able to be that support and add the value that she needs to add as a woman and then things start to balance out, roles start to be in place again. But again, remember, leadership isn't about control, but it is about setting a tone, making decisions with confidence, and guiding your family, I would say, with love and wisdom. And remember, like I said, listening is a superpower. So a strong leader, he's going to listen to his wife. Again, that doesn't always mean that he takes her options on what she recommends, right? But he does listen for the wife's input, and he does respect her perspective. And I think in that way, it starts to benefit you both, because it's like, if you're looking forward towards your future and towards your family's future, sometimes things behind you are happening, right? And you need someone to watch your back as well as your sides, because sometimes you don't look. Sometimes, man, we have tunnel vision. And it's good to just have somebody who watching what's going on around us as well. So, again, listen, guys. If you find yourself settling into a role of submission because you've lost your way, it's definitely time to change, man. Your wife, she does not want to lead, bro. She doesn't. She wants a partner. She wants a leader that she can trust, and they lead with strength, clarity, and love. So I just say, man, you have to check yourself. It's time to step up and lead yourself first. And I promise you, watch how your marriage transforms. But it won't happen overnight, but it will happen day by day, gradually, if you fell into that submission role. Or if you even feel like, hey, I'm at a good point, well, stay consistent, right? Keep pounding, keep putting in the work. And I think you'll thank yourself for it later, and your wife and your kids as well. So, hey, what do y'all think about that? Drop a comment below. If it's your first time, subscribe to the Husband Code. If you've been watching for a while, subscribe. And also, if you got any value from this video, hit the like button. And hey, we're dropping videos like this every single day. Hit that notification bell. I appreciate y'all. Much love. Peace.